1592. Queen Elizabeth owns 3,652 bags of Indian pepper, double the amount of Europe's annual consumption. One problem? Selling it. Selling it as is would crash England's economy. Her cunning solution? Ban all pepper imports for a year, manipulate the markets, create government protected colonial trade. This Indian spice crisis gives birth to modern colonial economics. G'day, namaste, I'm your friend Mitra Desai, the author of books Shitala and Flag of Ananta. I'm on a mission to shed light on the erased legacies and forgotten stories of Bharat. September 1592. Queen Elizabeth is staring at 3,652 bags of Indian pepper. She has just become the richest spice merchant in Europe. Now she has a massive problem. If she sells this pepper, she will destroy England's entire economy. This is the story of how one Indian spice accidentally taught England how to build an empire. Let me explain what we are dealing with here. Pepper in 1592 isn't just seasoning, it is liquid gold. Listen to these numbers. 1 kilo of pepper costs 1 to 2 grams of silver in India. By the time it reaches Alexandria, it's worth 10 to 14 grams. In Venice, 14 to 18 grams. When it finally reaches the European tables, it's costing 20 to 30 grams of silver. That's a 15 to 30 fold increase in value from Indian fields to European tables. So you see, Elizabeth isn't just hoarding spices, she is sitting on concentrated wealth that Indian farmers and traders have created. But she's facing England's first colonial wealth crisis. She has too much. Just think about this scale for a second. Europe's entire annual pepper consumption was 750 to 900 tons. Elizabeth alone owned roughly 1,800 tons at the time, and that was just from one captured ship, Madre di Dios. So she had double the amount of Europe's annual consumption sitting in the English warehouses. The economics are terrifying for England. Their entire spice market depends on controlled scarcity. High prices, limited supply. Wealthy merchants make huge profits from small quantity. If Elizabeth dumps these 3,000 plus bags onto the English markets at once, everything collapses. Prices crash. English merchants lose fortunes overnight. And the entire spice economy is at the risk of dying. Even the Portuguese who controlled global pepper supplies were careful. They increased pepper spices slowly over time, from 22 to 38 ducats gradually. Market stability was everything. Elizabeth realizes something crucial. This is England's first lesson in colonial wealth management. Too much success can destroy you. Too much loot can destroy you. She needs to figure out how to profit from this Indian wealth without destroying England's economy, which, by the way, was already tottering on the brink of bankruptcy. Elizabeth gets cunning, and this is what our history books won't tell you. Her pepper problem forces England to come up with modern colonial economics. Everything that follows, the East India Company or the 300 years of empire, starts here. Elizabeth gets shrewd. She manipulates the system with syndicate financing. You see, such large quantities of pepper required the formation of another syndicate to purchase it for little over 80,000 pounds. No single English merchant could afford purchasing the pepper for 80,000 pounds. That's massive money in 1592. So Elizabeth orchestrates group investment. Multiple merchants pool in their money, share the risk, and buy the entire quantity as one block. It's England's first experience with collective colonial investment, the template for everything that follows. But even this isn't enough. Elizabeth realizes that she needs something more powerful: government authority. She discovers that private investment in colonial wealth needs government protection to survive. And that is where we see her shrewd masterstroke. The Queen even had to issue warrant prohibiting pepper imports for at least a year to help the market absorb this influx and allow the syndicate to recover its money. Let me break that down. Elizabeth temporarily monopolized England's pepper trade. She banned all imports. She created artificial scarcity, used royal power to protect merchant profits. This is the birth of the government protected colonial trade, the Crown using its authority to ensure private investors profit from foreign wealth, from the wealth of our ancestors. Research already shows us that London dock workers were paid bonuses in cloves. Spices were that valuable. Elizabeth couldn't risk crashing this wealth based system. But look at what's really happening here. This pepper crisis becomes England's training grounds in colonial economics. They're learning how to systematically extract and manage Indian wealth. Elizabeth's pepper crisis teaches England four crucial lessons. First, syndicate financing allows collective investment in large colonial ventures. Pool English money, share colonial risk, maximize profits. Second, the government protection ensures private profits from foreign conquests. Use royal authority, protect merchant investments, control market competitions. And Bob's your uncle. Third, market manipulation prevents colonial wealth from destroying domestic economies. Control the supplies, create artificial scarcity, and maintain high profits. Fourth, import controls create monopolies. When natural scarcity disappears, ban competition, dominate the markets, and extract maximum value. These lessons prepare England for centuries of empire. When the East India Company forms, just 8 years later in 1600s, they use these exact strategies. Syndicate investment? Check. Government protection? Check. Market manipulation? Check. Supply control? Check. The pepper problem teaches England how to profit from colonial wealth without being destroyed by it. One captured ship full of Indian goods, particularly spices, forces England to doctor modern colonial economics. The Indian abundance becomes their economic theory, and Indian prosperity becomes their imperial strategy. This was the blueprint that launched the East India Company. But how did this pepper crisis lead to the formation of the world's most powerful trading company? Drop EIC in the comments if you want to know how Elizabeth's pepper problem solution created the East India Company. The pepper crisis was just the beginning. The real story of systematic wealth extraction starts here. So make sure you follow. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.